All right, if you struggle with people pleasing, I need you to watch this video before it hurts your relationships. Because you're really good at caring about how they are feeling. You care about how things will make them react. You care about their needs, wants, and desires. And you care about anticipating those in a way that makes them feel loved. You care about serving and giving and sacrificing for them. And I think that's amazing. That's what makes an amazing relationship. When it's reciprocated, right? I love it that you have a selfless, thoughtful spirit. But we have to be careful because sometimes we venture too far and it's not just thoughtful anymore. Sometimes we're becoming a chameleon. We're appeasing. We're staying quiet. We're pleasing, not out of love, but out of fear. And it's so easy to drift towards unhealthy and not realize it. This doesn't mean you're broken. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. We all have different fears, different insecurities, different struggles. We all have to pay attention to what's going on underneath the surface in our own bodies and in our relationship dynamics. We all need to test ourselves. We all need to pay attention to the tensions inside of us. Here are some questions I want you to answer. Do you feel prioritized? Do you feel valued? Do you feel safe to bring up a concern and feel heard? Do you feel any resentment building? What expectations have you put on this relationship that they possibly aren't even aware of? Here's a good question. When you think about talking about and advocating for what you need and want to feel loved and valued, does that make you feel selfish? Because for some of you, that hits home, doesn't it? Because for some of you, you made a trade all those years ago that you were not even aware of and that they never agreed to. This became an unspoken agreement. I serve you and that makes me lovable. I give and I sacrifice and that gives me value as a person. I prioritize you and I abandon my own needs and that makes me worthy of kindness and respect from you. And if I do that long enough, you will love me back. You'll reciprocate my efforts of selflessness. You'll anticipate my needs. But they never did they? And this isn't about victim blaming. This is about self-awareness. Do you know why some people please? Because subconsciously they're afraid and they have a low self-worth. Sometimes we're afraid to be the real, raw, honest versions of ourselves. We're afraid that if you knew the real me, if I expressed how I was truly feeling, you might leave. So I stay quiet. I bury my feelings. I abandon myself so that you won't abandon me. Cheryl Richardson said, if you avoid the conflict to keep the peace, you start a war in yourself. And that resentment you feel is that war. And I care about you far too much not to challenge you. You're really good at caring about others. How long until you get to yourself? How long are you going to wait until you advocate for your needs, wants, and desires? How long until you set a boundary, any boundary? Loving yourself and advocating for your own needs isn't selfish. In fact, you can't even love another person until you love and respect yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup forever. And asking another person to complete you, hoping to rescue them from themselves with your love and sacrificing when you feel taken for granted, feeling used, feeling drained, giving yourself to someone who doesn't reciprocate, that's not sustainable. You are worthy of kindness and consideration and respect and selflessness and to be sacrificed for without you doing anything. And the best marriages are mutually selfless and mutually sacrificial, not perfectly, but intentionally and directionally and purposefully. And if you aren't careful, you will attract people who take advantage of you because you've been conditioned to believe that you don't deserve anything better, but you do. You can refuse to set boundaries in your relationships, but it's a prison that you've locked yourself in because it's terrifying to think of what would happen if you said, no, I won't do that. No, I won't go there. I won't continue to be disrespected. I won't allow you to talk to me or treat me like that any longer. No, your actions have consequences. I'm not bailing you out again. No, I'm not paying your rent. No, I'm not sleeping with you. Sometimes we don't say no out of fear of being alone, but the sad part is, you're already alone in this relationship, aren't you? So what do? We do the only thing we can do. We grow in self-reflection and emotional maturity. We learn, what do I actually need to feel loved and valued? Do I even allow myself to view those needs as legitimate? Am I advocating for those needs in a healthy way? And what am I going to do? What's the healthy, mature thing to do when I feel chronically neglected or unappreciated or disrespected or unprioritized? And is it possible I have some fear or low self-worth in there? This isn't about punishing or demoralizing them with boundaries. This is simply about protecting us. Sometimes when we realize that we've been taken for granted, we explode on them. We blame them for everything. But the wise thing to do is look inward first. Have I put myself in environments where my legitimate needs for closeness and emotional safety are even possible? How have I potentially set myself up to perpetuate the cycle of giver-taker or pursuer-distancer? Because so often that's what it is, a cycle. And two people play into that cycle. And of course they need to be held accountable, but we can't control them. All we can control is us. Our words, our reactions, our behaviors, the way we choose vulnerability and compassion and selflessness, the environments we place ourselves in. We can change the environment. We can refuse to fight or practice passive aggressiveness or criticism or let bitterness and resentment build. We can choose honesty and vulnerability and healthy conflict resolution. We can work on growing our respect and self-worth in ourselves. And when we do, answers will come. Mentalities will shift. Things that used to be cloudy and confusing will become a lot more clear. And I want that for you because I care about you.